Can everyone see my screen? All right, great. I had an amazing talk this week at DataOps Unleashed, where I presented for 30 minutes. And at the end of 30 minutes, I found out that I was speaking to an audience that wasn't there. So I'm starting to learn how to ask for feedback before starting. All right, welcome everyone to the, I guess, the third community meeting of the year. And as you notice, things are changing. Where is my slide deck? All right. We are going to go through a pretty packed agenda. We have project updates, a demo.
Shirshanka, you might want to cancel the one password prompt.
Oh, that's showing up, huh? Okay, one second. I think it's gone, hopefully. Awesome. All right, so we're going to go over the project updates, go through a quick demo of themes and tags, a case study of DataHub at Wolt, and then a quick poll with the community on some observability mocks that we've been working on. And then Q&A based on questions that have come in and questions that come up during the session. First off, in case you haven't noticed, we have a new homepage and massively improved documentation at datahubproject.io. So go over there, check it out, and feel impressed by how awesome this project truly is. I think DataHub has always been an awesome project, but we never really put it together to explain to people what it's all about. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. We've also done some interesting work in creating a live demo environment. So every morning, and Dexter did a lot of this work. So thanks for that, Dexter. We have essentially a job that picks up the latest bits from master, from the main branch on GitHub, deploys it out to a demo environment. So you can go in there, check it out. Does anyone know if recording is on? Because otherwise I can start it up.
It's not on.
Huh.
No, I believe it's on.
Oh, it's on.
It's on? Okay, cool. So we've got the demo environment going. Check it out. It gets refreshed every morning, but we also have the ability to push a button and deploy it at any point. Since the last time we talked, I think this is annoying. Since the last time we've spoken, I think 5+ new POCs are being done at different companies. So this is great news. We published the roadmap. We changed from kind of a visionary, missionary 2-year roadmap to a very targeted 6-month roadmap. Go take a look at it. It's again on datahubproject.io. Scroll down to the bottom and you'll see a link for the roadmap. It includes pretty much everything that the community had asked for the developers. The big things are going to be no-code metadata model changes. It's going to be a big, hard project, and we're going to spend a fair bit of time working with the community and getting it out. And there's a bunch of features that I won't get into in detail here. And big news, we have a new release finally. It's been a long time coming. It's about 3 months since we had released a new release. It's 0.7.0. There are a ton of new commits in it, about 200. I promise we won't go this long before creating a release the next time. And as with most major releases, you'll probably see a kind of a minor release coming out in the next week or so as we catch up any small bugs or small feature edits that we missed. I was looking at the number of contributors, and that was quite nice to see that we have 24 unique contributors to the project for this time period. So that gives us a lot of happiness, because it means that the project is actually getting the kind of community of not just adopters and users, but also people contributing changes back. So this is great, and we want to see more of that. All right, so what was in the release? The first and most important thing was, of course, the new React application. So if you haven't been paying attention, we completely rewrote the application from the ground up using React. This will help us move to a more modern stack and allow the community to give us many more contributions. We also added support for GraphQL, a huge lift from quite a few members of the community. And so that's going to be amazing. You now have a much more accessible API to get metadata in, and then to also get it out and visualize it. Another big thing was the metadata ingestion framework. We were always amazing at getting data in through Kafka, but a lot of people were not quite sure how to get all this metadata into Kafka in the first place. So we built a metadata ingestion framework in Python. It's actually one of the most beautiful Python code I've seen. So please go check it out. I love what Harshal has done with it. And a lot of folks are giving contributions back. So this is amazing. We already have quite a few sources. Athena and Druid was contributed very recently. And I know that DBT is cooking, so I'm super excited about that one. Product features, the big enterprisey one was SSO. A lot of people have been asking for this. John put in a ton of effort and got the SSO integration done on the React app. He tested it out with its OIDC, and unfortunately, John is not here today, but we're going to do a deeper dive on this at a future date. Tags and themes, we are going to have a demo later, and dashboards. I think everyone knows now we have dashboards that we can visualize. You can find your favorite Looker dashboard and then kind of browse its metadata and things like that. And the metadata ecosystem got stronger. We had contributions from Expedia on the ML model ecosystem. So machine learning models, they're actually using it to store metadata about all of their models, and hopefully it'll become kind of a thing, and we'll start DataHub becoming the AI metadata store of choice. We are also getting contributions on the data flow and job ecosystem, and that's something that the Wolt folks have been doing. We'll hear more from them later. And the big breaking change is that we have finally shed our Elasticsearch 5 ghost, and we have moved to Elasticsearch 7. There are some migration scripts checked into the repository. The LinkedIn team has actually been moving on that, and John has contributed one of the scripts that has helped them migrate from Elastic 5 to 7. So hopefully you don't need to do these big migrations, but it's better to get them done early before we start getting into a lot of more exciting features. So get on with it, and hopefully we'll see you all on 0.7 soon. Awesome. I did put in a couple of slides on SSO. We're not going to get into detail, but we've checked it. We've tested it out with Google SSO and Okta, and there are documents on the hosted docs. So go read up on them. And we will do an SSO office hours next week. So you can join in, and we can kind of help you with any specific custom setup you have, and we will learn ourselves along with you. Awesome. So now I'm going to hand it over to Gabe to tell us about what he's been up to with tags and themes.
Awesome. Thanks, Shirshanka. It was really exciting hearing about everything that's included in this release. A lot of really, really cool stuff. Yeah, so I'm going to dive into two of the things that are included in the release in their React app. they're available to use now and they've been merged in. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of how the feature works and show you how you can get started using both tags and themes. And although I'm also on the West Coast, I actually wake up around this time to go biking quite often, so it feels very natural to be awake right now. All right. Can everyone see this? Cool. So both these features we know people have been requesting from the community for a long time, and I'm really excited to have finished them up. For tags, I want to give a special shout out to Fredrik and Matti from Wolt for helping clarify the spec for this, the needs, and drive that RFC. It's really awesome collaborating with both of you. What tags are, they're some globally defined labels that you can apply to your entities. They're going to have they'll be able to have shared definitions so that when you apply these labels to disparate entities, you can be sure that everyone knows that they're talking about the same thing. And they can be applied at the entity level, but for data sets, you can also apply them at the schema field level. And in addition, we index these tags in Elasticsearch so that if you apply a tag to a data set, you can then recover it by searching for a tag or by filtering for that tag. And I'm going to give you a brief overview of how you can use that now. So if we go over to my DataHub, here I'm at a airport traffic data set. And you can see that I've already applied a tag to this entity. And this tag could have been applied either by the ingestion pipeline or from the UI. And this is showing a direction that we want to take. Actually, let me see. There's some typing I hear. I don't know if we can mute that. But anyway, so this tag can be applied from the ingestion pipeline or from the UI. And this is showing the direction that we want to take DataHub moving forward, which is that we want to start, DataHub is going to start becoming more of a interactive surface as well as a read-only surface. So if you look at the MCE example JSON file in the metadata ingestion directory, you'll see some example MCE events that are ingesting tags. But a much easier and more intuitive way can be just applying them through the UI. So you can see here's this tag that we've applied legacy to the airport traffic. So we're saying, this is a legacy data set. But say I wanted to assign, say that this data set also needed an owner assigned to it. I could go into this add tag flow and type in owner or ownership. And this is going to search our repository of tags. And in the type head, any tag related to ownership would actually come up right here.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you please?
Siri's talking to me. Since no tag exists, we can go ahead and create that. So we can say, okay, this is going to need ownership.
I seem to be having trouble hearing you.
You create this tag and say, give it a description. And when we create this tag, it's going to be generated as its own entity so that if we wanted to reference this tag from other entities, we'd be able to. So we can say, this element needs ownership. Once I created that, it appears on the data set. And if I click on it, we get brought to the tags page. We can see who created it, again, read that description, and then see statistics of how many other entities this tag has been applied to. And when I click on this, it actually brings us to a search filtering for data sets that have this tag. So you can see that it's already been indexed and we can already start searching about it. And we can use tags to filter. We can search for elements that have multiple tags or elements that have one of a set of tags. And as I said, you can also apply tags at the schema level. So if we go into our schema and enter the tags column, a little add tag button will pop up. We add that, we get back to the same flow. So if we want to add, say that this field needs a better documentation, I can add this needs documentation tag, which had already been created on another data set. It's discoverable here. We click on that and add it, and there the tag has been applied to the schema. So again, this feature is already in the release. I'm really, really excited about the different flexibility that tags will offer you, and go check it out and let us know your feedback in the DataHub Slack. So the second feature that I was going to demo is themes. We know that this has also been something that the community has been requesting for a while. And this lets you customize your DataHub instance so that it can have a little more look and feel that perhaps you prefer, or you could customize it to look a little more like your internal organization's themes. So things that we allow you to customize are styling, like background color, line color, the font, things like that. You can also customize assets, so you can insert a personal logo, and you can customize things like a welcome message as well. And we're going to start expanding what other things are customizable over time. Saxo Bank is currently contributing a change that will let you customize menu items using the same configuration. So the two themes that we include out of the box are this dark theme and light theme that you can see to the left and the right. And there's instructions in this link below that will tell you how you can set your theme, and how you can actually create a new theme as well. I think dark and light, it's a little predictable and easy, but just to show you the flexibility that themes allow, I went ahead and created a theme of my own. So I used to work at Airbnb, and there I made contributions to Airbnb's internal version of DataHub, which we call Data Portal. And I wanted to see, okay, can I create a DataHub theme that would fit in at Airbnb? And again, just using the same theme config that created the dark theme and the light theme, and that the instructions are linked here, I went ahead and customized it to look like Airbnb. And I want to show you what it looked like. So here, this is the landing page. You can see I customized the gradient. I have a customized logo, and I got to include my own customized welcome message. And this green color looks a little garish, but is actually one of Airbnb's favorite brand colors. It's called Babu, and we use it to highlight things there. If I search for an element like airport traffic, you can see the banner also is able to be styled, and labels get their own highlights as well. So this hopefully gives you a sense of the flexibility that theming allows. Have fun, go check it out, try to theme your own, and again, look forward to chatting about this in the Slack channel.
Wow, that was amazing. Gabe, are you planning to replace Airbnb Data Portal with this?
Yes, quite soon, quite soon.
Awesome. That looked amazing. Cool. So a couple of things. The tags are also up on the demo site. Please go there and add some tags. Be gentle. We have not added bad word filters or other kind of things. This is a friendly community. Every morning, we are going to replace the tags with kind of the fresh, like the default set of tags. So you're going to see your tags get wiped away. So please don't get too attached to them on the demo website, but feel free to go in and play around. And for themes, I think we just have the default lights theme up on the website. But yeah, I think one of the great things that happened with React office hours that we ran a couple of weeks ago was that we had a lot of conversations about React, but then a lot of conversations about other things about DataHub. So we're actually thinking about how to run community office hours where people can just drop in and talk about anything DataHub. So stay tuned for that as well. Awesome. Next up is Fredrik and Matti from Wolt, and they are going to be sharing what they have been up to with DataHub at Wolt. So, Fredrik, do you want me to present the slides?
Yes, please. If it's possible. You had the link, right?
Yes. 1 second. Can everyone see my screen?
All right. Yes, thank
Take
you,
it away.
Shirshanka, for the opportunity to come and share some of our learnings of working with DataHub. So my name is Fredrik, and I'm joined here by my colleague Matti-Pekka. We're from a company called Wolt. If you jump to the next slide, I'll just share a couple of words about the company so you know, get a bit of a better context of sort of the environment we're working in. So Wolt is a technology company that operates a sort of food ordering and food delivery platform. So not unlike DoorDash, for example, and founded in 2014 in Helsinki in Finland, and currently operate in 23 countries, over 150 cities, mostly Nordics, Baltics, Eastern Europe, some Mediterranean countries, Asian countries like Japan, for example, and lately we've also entered Germany. Maybe that's enough about the company. So I'll hand it over to Matti-Pekka to go a bit deeper into how our tech stack looks like and how DataHub fits into the picture.
All right, thank you. Hello, so I am Matti-Pekka. I met some of you in the last town hall. And to give you a bit of context in the data pipeline we are running, we have been now moving most of our like basic ETL workloads now over to Kafka. So we operate Kafka connectors on top of our operational databases. Then we use Kafka to store and distribute the data. And then we have this like in-house developed streaming framework, kind of a model repository, ingesting the data and then uploading that to Snowflake. And also alongside that, we utilize heavily Airflow, especially for interacting with external APIs, third-party systems, but also other of our like internal, more batch-based systems. And Snowflake is our main data lake, data warehouse, kind of an in-between model there. And for DataHub's perspective, like we have this luxury of storing only quite well-structured data. So we don't really have a data lake where we would dump everything, but we do some sensible pre-processing for the data before we land it in Snowflake. So it's in like a usable and joinable state with our other data sets. And to make sense of all of this, we started last year to evaluate different open source and also other options for managing all of this, all of the metadata we have. And like we've seen previously in these presentations, we also evaluated, for example, Apache Atlas and Amundsen, but they both did not quite fit into the way we wanted to operate. We were going to go with Apache Atlas at first, but we ran into some considerable difficulties when trying to deploy it. So, and maybe just through some luck, we ended up looking at DataHub at the same point in time. So we felt quite confident in what we saw and realized that we can safely like start working on a proof of concept implementation on top of that. And due to that history of like being sort of undecided between different systems, we also wanted to, well, maybe at that time kind of hedge ourselves in a way from the technical choices made in the project, because we weren't quite sure at that point, like how much, for example, the implementations would change a long time. So that is why we ended up, if you now could move to the next slide.
Matti, I had one question.
Oh, yes,
if
sure.
I can ask.
Of course. Of course.
The circle that says metamorphosis, is that the Confluent term, or is that your own system?
That is our own system. It is basically like a simple Python application that simply creates Kafka consumers, but then the actual business logic lies in these like SQL Alchemy model based stream parsing classes that then we can register automatically as soon as we create them and then start consuming the data from Kafka. Great question. I actually didn't know that the term is overloaded at the moment.
Got it. I think anyone who has read Kafka also knows about metamorphosis, so it's a matter of time. Cool. Thank you so much. I'll move to the next one.
Thank you. So we created this service and SDK called Celeste for our internal use, and this is the main way we want to interact with DataHub and also expose this whole storing and interacting part of the with the metadata service to our like internal developer users, like engineers who want to publish their metadata in DataHub. And the main reasons or main benefits we saw from this approach are, well, the easier integration with DataHub, as especially when we started working on this, there were no ingestion frameworks like currently, so you need to parse the Kafka messages and the Avro schemas by hand. So this helps then the end user a bit, and also allows us not to have Kafka dependencies on each of the project that wants to actually use this. And then this allows us to reduce the complexity of the metadata models, so we can like expose only the parts that we see relevant to our users. And also this makes the authentication integration a bit easier, at least in our case. So the service itself is simply a REST API written in Python, which accepts simple like post requests, and then based on the payload, inputs the data to Kafka to be processed by the MCE consumer. But for our end users, for actually for like say our business users, of course the UI would be the DataHub's UI. This is for storing the data and, for example, fetching downstream lineage information for some entity. And here's a small example how it looks like in practice. So we have a simple Python SDK that you can then use in, for example, the Metamorphosis project mentioned. So we have this repository where we define the models that we use, and then on each release of a tag or a version for that model repository, we simply run a small Python scraper script that iterates over the models, creates the required payloads, and then outputs that into the service, which, for example, looks like here that we have this simplified dataset format that then includes, for example, the schema information instead of having them as different entities that then might require, in some cases, some intermediate entities for linking them together. All right, I think.
Yeah, this was awesome. I think we've also been making progress on having the Python SDK get easier and easier to use. And this is probably something that we will motivate Matti to contribute back as well. So it's amazing, right, to have this easy way to create metadata from right inside Python.
All right.
Yeah, I think we can, yes, go on, Fredrik.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, just generally, as stated already, so the our sort of vision for our metadata ingestion is basically to be able to cover the whole sort of data realm at Wolt. So starting at the operational databases and third-party APIs to the warehouse, Snowflake, and all the way to individual machine learning models and Looker dashboards. And as stated, we have this schema repository that we utilize heavily in this. We can easily add metadata to that and then use our Celeste SDK to push updates. And as already stated, we've been proposing this global tags feature addition to DataHub, and now we're sort of exploring how to utilize those most efficiently. So playing with the idea to use them as sensitivity classes on for example, schema fields and or on higher level entities. And as you saw in the diagram earlier, we're heavy users of Airflow, so and we use it to transform and and move data around. So support for Airflow was a must for us. So that's why we participated in the addition of that feature. Let's go to the next slide. Try to be quick. So one sort of aspect to us moving or taking into use a metadata store or metadata catalog is that we're moving towards a sort of data mesh architecture. I hope most of the people in this crowd knows what that means, but basically that we wanted teams to individual teams to take more ownership of their own sort of data production and the quality of that data and the flow of that data. And the core team that we're part of would then just provide the tools and the infrastructure and monitoring solutions around those pipelines. But then in order to sort of keep some kind of control over the whole sort of data realm or the data platform, and still sort of have it in a manageable state, it's sort of crucial for us to bring this sort of a data discovery and data catalog into the mix. And the use cases for us, I mean, it's pretty clear. I guess most of these are quite common for all of you, but you're obviously going to use it for data catalog and for data discovery for our end users, compliance use cases, governance, ML lineage, as said, and yeah, keeping track of ownership of the data sets within the different teams. And then sort of one thing that we're probably gonna start looking into more extensively quite soon is sort of utilizing the downstream lineage and sort of ownership and sort of stakeholder relationships for alerting, sort of taking downstream actions. I'm thinking about like stopping machine learning training runs if we notice that a data set is going stale or things like this. All right, let's go to the last slide. I think we have maybe a few minutes. So yeah, I think we're beyond the sort of stage of a proof of concept at Wolt. We're heavily invested in this product already, and the community. The experience so far has been super great, and we see a very bright future for this product. We're currently sort of ingesting ingested the sort of warehouse tables, and now we're sort of extending that outwards to our Kafka topics and operational databases, and sort of downstream as well into Looker dashboards and so on. And yeah, maybe one of the cooler features that we want to look into is this like downstream or utilizing downstream lineage for alerts and monitoring. And then at later phase, we'll start onboarding our sort of business users for using it as a sort of data discovery tool.
Cool.
Yeah, I think I don't think there was any more slides. Shameless plug. We're hiring, so if anyone's looking for new opportunities in the happiest country in the world, get in contact.
Yeah, I think this is great, and we would love to get some of these user avatars as part of our team. This is just beautiful. Thanks for the support and all of the contributions so far, and we're super excited to be helping you move along.
Likewise.
Cool. We have about 20 minutes left in the session, and I am going to try something interesting this time. So we are trying to do like a live poll and kind of get some feedback from the community about something we are thinking about, which is observability. And Fredrik and Matti talked about it a little bit as well, right? One of the next steps after setting up a data discovery catalog or platform or whatever you want to call it, tool, is that, yeah, people can find things and they can look at some lineage and figure out who to talk to and which data set is related to which dashboard. But then often we've seen that the next question that comes up is being able to really trust that this data set is indeed the right one for you to depend on for the rest of your life. I mean, the rest of your next project. And the question is, why would you depend on this data set? What makes this data set so amazing that you actually want to use it? And that's really that difference between a data set that seems like the most likely candidate for you to use versus a data set that clearly seems like a trusted one. And we feel like, and we've seen this at multiple iterations of this journey at different companies, that the operational signals coming from the actual active part of the data ecosystem gives you kind of that important signal that allows you to understand if you should trust this data set or not. So that's kind of something that's also in our roadmap. If you see, we've got integration with data quality tools and things like that coming up. And we wanted to, instead of kind of working on it and then finally releasing it and then realizing that the community wanted something slightly different, we wanted to flip it around and do a few designs, do a few mocks, and then share it with the community and kind of get some feedback from you early on so that we get the chance to actually build the product in the right way for the community. So that's the goal, and I'll go through a few mocks that we've come up with. So this one is, think about what the lineage graph might look like in the future. I know that in the React app right now, we don't have a lineage graph. We're actually working on that. So imagine you're going to search for a particular data set, find it, switch to the lineage view, and then you can kind of see that it's got some downstream tasks like an Airflow task that writes data to Snowflake, pretty much exactly how Matti and Fredrik were describing it. Or maybe there's a Looker dashboard that's sitting on top of that data set. And then as you click into that particular node, the Hive data set in question, you're able to see kind of a quick summary of what that data set is all about. It's not just that it's a Hive data set, but the fact that it's of like a fact table, or maybe we want to call it a log table or something like that, but it's basically a immutable set of facts that are being appended to the data set over time. And there's some annotations about whether it's a daily partitioned data set or not, how many rows exist in the data set. The tags and the description you already know about. But below that, there's kind of a hint of operational health. What's the status of this data set? When was it last updated? What were the checks that recently ran? And these checks might be operational checks like, hey, it was recently updated. It's a daily data set and it seems to have landed on time. So that looks good. But also that it has passed validation. There were data quality checks that were run and all of them seem to have passed successfully, whatever your rules are. And that there are no active issues. This data set doesn't seem to have any reported problems, either by humans or programs. And it seems to be doing well. So the goal is, at a glance, as you look into the data set at the very top level, you can see a sense of, is this data set healthy or not operationally? The next kind of more expanded view of that same page is, you might search for the data set. So this is not the lineage way of getting to the data set, but just the standard search. And then you click and you're into the data set detail page. Very similar, you can see the same card below. Most people are familiar with kind of the little array of tabs that show up below the dataset entity page, right? And most of us are familiar with the schema tab and the ownership tab. But imagine that we put up the ownership up to the right so that it's always there and available. And schema can actually stay on as a tab in this array of tabs. But we add on a summary, which includes this kind of operational health. So that's kind of what the kind of landing page is, how we're imagining it. And then if you click into one of these tabs, let's say the events tab. Actually, this one is, scrolling down a little bit. So you're up in kind of the entity detail page and you scroll down from the summary into kind of the event section. And you can see kind of a timeline of events plotted on a graph that shows when this data set landed. Now for streaming data sets, there might be a different thing that makes sense. This is a fact-oriented warehouse table, right? So you might want to look at it in that way. Typically, the standard stuff typically lands at 5 a.m., but at the SLA is that it should be ready by 6 a.m. But a few days ago, there was a problem and it actually showed up at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. And so that it's late. But the good news is that the validation checks were actually run on that partition. And it was actually validated as being a correct partition of the data set. So that's kind of like the scheduled updates, things that were planned, things that happen kind of on a drumbeat. And then there's also unscheduled updates, things like backfills that can run every once in a while. And you can kind of get a separated out view into how unscheduled updates have happened on that same data set. Up and to the right, you have the overall statistics about the data set, including a quick histogram or a quick trend line that shows you how many rows are being added per day and whether that is in line with what you usually get and things like that. The goal, again, is to have a very simple and easy way to understand if this data set is behaving as expected, because every data set is going to be different. There will be some data sets that are weekly data sets, some data sets that will be hourly. And then for streaming data sets, it's a whole new world, right? So that's entity detail page. I talked a lot about events. So imagine there's an events tab that actually shows you that log of lifecycle events that have happened to the data sets. things like creating partitions, running data quality assertions, validation rules that are running on the data set, updates that might be happening of different types, like backfilling a partition that might be in progress. And imagine being able to kind of walk back the timeline of all of the important events that have happened with the data set. We expect to allow customization about what you think are important events and allow you to plug in different producers that can say different things about the data set so that it's all in one place combined. And multiple tools can probably be emitting important updates about the data set. Up and to the right, you'll see this report and issue button right here. And that is meant for humans to essentially say, hey, I think there's a problem with this data set. And you can imagine how that workflow will look like. Report a problem, the problem gets logged, gets routed to the right owner. Maybe that's integration with your ticketing provider, whether that's ServiceNow or Jira or what have you. And then that then reflects back in the active issues that are going on with the data set. So the next time someone goes and finds the data set, they can actually see, uh-oh, looks like there's some problem that someone else has already filed, and they can go check on how that's going. So that's the events table. Stats is exactly what it says, standard geek out about the data set stats, row counts, column counts, like the width of the data set itself, partitions, trend lines, looking back 1 month, 3 months, whatever makes sense, right? At a row level or at a data set level. And then within going deeper at the column level, understanding histograms for each individual column, understanding if there are nulls being found, are they expected or not expected? So that naturally leads to kind of a data quality related question, but kind of looking for feedback around how people would like to see this evolve. And I'll drop in a Google form after this, quick mock demo so that you can give us your feedback on how you would like to see this evolve. The next thing, the next tab over is validation. A lot of people in the community are using Great Expectations, so that's the one we're showing over here. We have on our roadmap integration with data quality tools like Great Expectations. What does that integration mean is something we are still speccing out. But of course, at the least, it means that if you have already set up Great Expectations and it's running against your data sets and producing important data quality results, you should be able to see it again in the same place. So once you're looking at a data set, you can drop into the validation tab and it shows you all of the assertions that have been run, assertions that are running, failing, succeeding, what those assertions even are, and being able to kind of see at a glance how things are going. This is sort of like your CI/CD view of the data set, right? And that's pretty much it. I'm going to drop the poll into the chat right now, and I would love to get some live feedback from the community. Let's see. So I'll give you just a little bit of time to click into it, bring it up, and don't context switch. And I'll go back to the slide deck so you can kind of see it really quick. I want you to give us feedback around what you thought and what are the changes you'd like to see. Okay, awkward silence done. Hopefully everyone at least have the form open. We're going to drop it on the Slack channel as well. So you can always get back to it, and we'll drop, obviously the slides are going to be public, so you can go back and look at them and tell us what you think. This work will be done over the next, month or 2 months. So as you can see from the roadmap, we do have quite a bit of work ahead of us. So the earlier we get feedback in, the more we can make sure that this thing is going to look just right for your team and for your company. So, all right. So that's pretty much it from a scheduled programming perspective. We are not yet announcing the next town hall, but I'll drop in it's the standard third Friday of every month, but we'll figure out the exact timing, whether we move it by 1 hour. We'll get some feedback from the community around how they felt the timing was for them. For me, the coffee was great, so I'm feeling fine right now. I took a quick look at the Q&A section, and there were a couple of questions that popped. One was around business glossary, and the second was around moving from Confluence to DataHub. I can address the first one really quick. Business glossary is something that we've been working with the community on for a while now. I think Saxo Bank has been, and ThoughtWorks have been collaborating with the community on it. Recently, with the addition of the tags feature, we had a renewed discussion around it because we had this big debate about, are tags the same thing as business glossary terms, or are they different things? Where we netted out, at least design-wise, was that we will keep tags similar to global tags or hashtags. You can always create little namespacing rules within your company if you want to, but at least it's the main goal is not to create too much organization. For that, the business glossary is what we are going to move towards. And so where we see the business glossary strategy going is in being able to allow you to essentially upload your taxonomy into the system. And then that taxonomy gives you a structure of glossary nodes and terms. And these terms can then be attached to either the top level entities or to fields within these entities, pretty much exactly the same way as which you attach tags. But now you can kind of browse into a specific section of the taxonomy and attach it and give it a different kind of semantic meaning. So we think the application process, like how you apply terms to data sets or to fields, are going to look very similar, but the way you manage the taxonomy itself is probably going to be much more interesting. There will be hierarchies. One of the things on the roadmap is role-based access control or fine-grained access control on metadata elements themselves. So that'll allow for kind of the tag governance and allow for business glossary governance, so that you can essentially demarcate owners of a certain taxonomy, and that then allows this feature to actually make sense for a lot of companies. So that's where that is going. We will probably have some tech work happening later this month, but we expect kind of the deeper capabilities around access control and stuff to appear once we roll out access control on metadata, which is in the next quarter. The other question we had was Confluence to DataHub. And I don't know if there's someone in the community, since I didn't actually check who it was who asked this question, but if there's someone in the community who actually is here who had this question, would love to hear from you. Okay, since we don't have the person who asked the question, I can imagine what it was about. There's probably a ton of documentation about data sets that is being written in wikis, and people are basically asking, hey, how do we get that documentation into DataHub? Or vice versa, how do we write similar documentation inside DataHub? Can we actually organize documentation inside DataHub the same way we do it in Confluence? So I could definitely say that this is an interesting idea. It makes a lot of sense, something we will take into consideration. One of the easiest features that we can think of is to just allow editing Markdown directly in the dataset description page, so that you can kind of have a living document that you're maintaining about the dataset, just like we have our READMEs and other things in our GitHub repository. So that is definitely something that is on our short-term roadmap, and that should be coming. But deeper integration, maybe back and forth between Confluence and DataHub, is not something that we have planned for. But if you have ideas, please come talk to us and tell us how you can make that a reality. Awesome. Any other questions that I did not have time to get into?
A quick question. When is the office hour, please? The coming one, because we're interested in the SSO support a lot.
Cool. Absolutely. Something, just watch out on the Slack channel.
Okay.
Do not mute notifications. I don't like doing at here. So if everyone is paying attention to the Slack channel, I'll stop doing it. But a lot of times people tell me, oh, I didn't know there was a town hall. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'll have to do an ad here just to remind people.
Okay.
So, so we will announce town halls over there, and office hours in the Slack channel.
Thank you.
Just pay attention to it, and we'll give kind of a wide range of time so that people can hop in and out.
Sounds good. Thank you.
We are planning one next week for sure.
Next week. All right. Thank you.
Cool. We are on the hour. So any other questions? I'm just looking through the chat. What is Backstage by Spotify?
Sort of DataHub for services.
Oh, meaning the service graph?
Yeah, sort of, and they include documentation there as well. And
Cool.
just a thought.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Keep the ideas coming and keep the contributions coming. I think it's been just amazing to see how the community has kind of taken this project and taken it to places that we ourselves are not able to do. Small teams, right? Everywhere, busy with many other things. So this is amazing. And I'm really excited about DBT and Looker. Those are the two things that are already baking in the community. So hopefully the next time around, we are able to show like lineage graphs that include also SQL and other things. So that's going to be amazing. Awesome. So see you all in 4 weeks, give or take, and stay safe and have fun. Gabe might do a Spotify themed DataHub next time. I don't know.
A new theme for every meeting.
All right, cool. I don't know if people noticed I did a dark theme presentation today. Awesome. Thank you, everyone, and bye.
Thank you.